Do not need AMC clinical exam to get a hospital job in Australia. Old head. Right? Clinical. Alright guys, today's video is going to be a little bit different. As you can see, I'm driving. I'm going from one place to another and thought I'll consume my time in a better way. So today's video is going to be about how to get a job in Australia. Now, disclaimers, whatever I'm going to talk about today, it is a general opinion of myself. It may or may not reflect every single case that happens in Australia, but I can tell you from my opinion, it's about 85 to 90% of the time it will happen as I'm telling you. That's number one. Number two, if you like my channel, please subscribe to my channel and share my videos. That way I'll be able to help you out more. Now, the most important question I'm being asked is that how does one get a job in Australia, particularly after the case that they've done AMC 1 and the job is in the hospital. Alright, so this video is going to be about people who want to get a job after AMC 1 in Australia. However, it may apply to people who have already done clinicals as well. So we're talking about limited registration and provisional registration over here. Now, one of the most important things I say to everyone is that it's not essential to have your clinical exams to get a job in Australia. And why do I say that? Like, the reason why I say that is I'll give you an analogy. If there's a fly on your table and you want to kill that fly, and you have something called a fly stick, a plastic thing costs $2, would you rather kill a fly with a fly stick, or would you kill a fly with a missile? That's a question. And same is the case with getting a job in the hospital, because the way AMCs were designed initially were that if you do a part 1, you go and train in a hospital for a year on limited registration, learn the Australian system, and then do an exit exam, which is called the clinical exam, and get your full registration. Then what they saw is that people there was a lot of demand in Australia, and once the demand increases, they said, oh, you can sit the clinical exams just before you finish off your clinical year, or even get a job. And people started doing that. And then slowly and steadily, as the number of undergraduate medical students in Australia started rising, the jobs started getting fewer for the junior medical officers, and people started doing the clinical exams, and then they were starting to get a bit of an edge over other candidates. Now, the problem over here is this. AMC clinical exams, on average, will take a candidate at least 1 year. That is saying that you are successful probably on the first go, and you have been concentrating all your time on it. Because it's a journey, the AMC clinical exam, having only a passing ratio or a rate of 20%, which means 80% of the candidates fail, and that's a majority, and then they'll have to do it again. So it may actually end up taking you a couple of years. But yeah, let's say on average it will take you 1 year. The issue with getting the medical jobs in Australia is that if you've got a clinical gap and you're living in Australia, Opera will not accept your application. So, let me break it down for you one by one over here. The most important thing for you to get a job is not the clinical exam. It's your recency of practice. Because if you don't have the recency of practice, hospitals will throw away your CV. Opera will not accept your registration. What is the recency of practice? I will basically put a link down in the description very soon, and you can have a look at that. Essentially what it means is that you need to have practiced at least 3 months of medicine in the past 3 years, or 1 month of medicine in the past 12 months. That is what the recency of practice is. That's number one. I learned it the hard way because I started applying for jobs without having recency of practice. And for the first 6 months, I did not even receive a response from any hospital. And that was after applying at least 2 dozen jobs all over Australia. And then one day somebody told me, you have recency of practice. And actually what I used to do, and this is point number 2, the most important thing, is if you don't get a job, make sure you call them and follow up. Ask them the reason why you didn't get the job. Most of the times you'll get a response, and it may be a generic response, or you may want to get a specific response, so give them a call. And I used to do that after every job. Every time I send an email, I will give them a call back. I'll find out what was the reason. I'll try to improve. And after multiple attempts, one manager told me that the reason we didn't shortlist you was because you didn't have recent experience. So I sorted that out. I went back to Pakistan, worked for a month, came back. It needs to be a paid job. So I got a job for myself in my holidays, went back, and that sorted out the recency of practice. As soon as I got the recency of practice, I started getting shortlisted. So, I'd get a lot more responses and those sort of things. So that was point 2. So the point 1 being that you need to make sure that you've got AMC Part 1. You need to make sure that point 2, you need to make sure that you have the recency of practice. Alright, now let's move to point 3. What's the other most important point? Point number 3 is your English. Now, if you don't have English exam and you haven't done the IELTS or the PTE or whatever, hospitals are reluctant to hire you. Reason being, there's in a lot of cases where doctors get hired and they can't finalize their English exams, that causes delays in the registrations and the hospital are waiting for them. And nobody wants to be in that situation. It's like buying a car and not having money to put fuel in. What's the use of the car? So you have to get a car which actually has fuel in it so you can drive it. And that is what the English exam is. So make sure you've done your English exam, put that down on your CV with your results, attach it with your CV if you can, and send it over there. That's point 3. This leads into point 4. Point 4, in my opinion, is communication. And a lot of candidates, when they apply jobs, they just apply online, tick. Hospitals on average may get 30 to 40 CVs for a job. You reckon you're going to get the job? It's 1 in a 40 chance that you'll get a job. So you got to make yourself a little bit different from others. And how do you do that? Generally, by giving them a call, ideally by going and visiting to the hospital, and even one step better, finding a doctor within the hospital, making friends with that doctor, and asking him to put a good word for you. That's how I did it. So I started finding hospitals, applying there, finding out on their websites what doctors work over there, going on LinkedIn, trying to find some mutual friends with them, sending them a message, asking them, look, I'm an international graduate, I would like some mentoring. Not asking them directly to put a reference, nobody does that for you. But ask them, look, I know this mutual person with you, and I was wondering if you become my mentor. Talk to them back and forth for a week, and then tell them, look, I've applied to your hospital, do you know this person, and that sort of a thing. And ask them in a very subtle way that they can become your reference in a way, or maybe even help you out in some way. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But that's the way you do it, because if you want to stand out from the crowd, you want to play the game a little bit differently. The other way I was doing this was networking, and I would go to conferences. So I would go to emergency medicine conferences, or like a psych conference where all the JMOs, GPs get together, going to JMO forums, going to doctor forums, things like that. And those are really important, because that develops your network of doctors, and then you can put down it on your CV. This leads to point 5. Sometimes it's very difficult to get a job, but it is slightly easier to get an observership. And if your communication skills over the internet through LinkedIn fail, then the next one is going over there in person, spending some time in the hospital. Let's say get a 2-week observership. Go down there, 4-week observership, go down there and spend the time over there. Get to know people, make friends with them, and then if something pops up, they already know you're flagged, you'll get in the system. So that's another strategy that you can use. This leads to point 5, which is a strong CV and a cover letter. Now, one of the mistakes people make is have a very meager, very mundane, very simplistic, or a very ordinary type of a CV, how do you expect to stand out from the crowd if you don't have the attributes of a strong CV and something that will impress the employers? There's a lot of research that shows that employers spend less than 7 seconds on a CV to filter you, and if they've got 40 odd CVs, why would they sort of spend more time on you than somebody else who may be a local graduate or somebody who has got an experience in the UK or somewhere? You know what I mean? So this is the other thing you need to do. Work on your CV, make it strong. If you need professional help, do that. But yeah, that's what you need to work on. Then another important thing is the cover letter, because if your cover letter is weak, they might not even see your CV. So make sure you've got a strong cover letter. The strategies I use the hospital's strategic plans, their objectives, and tell them that I reflect with those objectives. Read on their website, go and read the CEO's message. Like for example, the hospital I'm currently working in, one of their objectives was integrity. So I showed them how in my life I had examples of integrity and how I feel aligned with this hospital. Show them that, and you can come up with examples, right? And if you can't come up with examples, then yeah, you need to do that. There's clearly something missing, or you need some coaching in that regards. So that's the other one. And finally, what I would like to say is persistence. Make sure you're persistent with applying. Applying is not about applying to 2 jobs and 3 jobs and getting a job. Applying is about persistence. Every single time you apply, you then reapply, you follow up, you find out what were things that didn't work out for you. You find out who got the job, and if you can, go out with them for a coffee. Ask them what they did to get the job. How was their CV like? What did they write in their cover letter? Ask the hospital people. Sometimes they're good. Sometimes they'll give you tips. Go there in person. Talk to them. Tell them you're very interested. Never ever ever give an interview on the phone. If you get the interview, go there in person. Spend the money, spend the time. Show them that you are more motivated than any other candidate to get the job. Practice your interview skills. If you get that shot at the interview, you want to make it the best shot you have ever given to anything. So practice, get some help. You need to give those answers right. Remember, getting a first job in Australia is not about your medical skills. Nobody wants a big shot doctor that comes in and does everything, because you're not a consultant. You're just a junior doctor. What they want is somebody with good communication skills, being safe, is able to do things. I'm actually starting a mentoring service. So if you are interested, you can come and contact me. I'd be more than happy to help you out. Obviously, I'll give you my time and I'll guide you. I'm also trying to compile a list of IMG friendly hospitals where you'd get most bang out of your buck for applying. So yeah, those are the things that I would like to add. One other thing, finally, before I go, is IMGs who are outside Australia. And in one of my previous videos, I said you have 1% chance of getting a job if you're outside Australia. I've been asked a few questions on that, and let me elaborate on that. If you are a junior medical doctor who has done AMC 1, doesn't have Australian PR, living outside Australia, only has 1 or 2 years of experience, then that fact stands and holds true. There's only 1% chance of you getting in a job. Reason being, there are a lot of people over here with an unlimited working visa or a PR and a clinical exam. Why would they get you somebody from overseas who they don't know? Your chances improve if you've got 3 to 5 years of experience overseas. Your chances improve if you've got experience in the UK, for example, if you've got experience in other countries which have a similar health system. Your chances improve if you've got a clinical exam. You can come and go out of Australia. You've got some sort of a visa that helps you with that. You can come in on a visitor visa to, give that interview, all important interview. Those sort of things. Those improve your chances. But then again, hospital jobs are rare, difficult. So yeah, there are low chances. So I just wanted to elaborate on that. All right, thank you very much for that. And if you have any questions, pop it down in the comments. Feel free to contact me on Facebook Messenger, and I'll be able to help you out. Thank you. Bye.